Okay, so what are the hot issues in ADR, International Dispute Resolution, right now? I think you could probably boil them down, let's say the top five. Everybody has been talking about, at least over the past 2 years, has been the consequences of the pandemic. Force majeure, act of God. I think arbitrators all over the world have been struggling, and so many operations being frustrated or rendered impossible or incredibly impracticable. And tribunals have been grappling with this for the last 2 years, and I'm certain we're going to continue along that line for the foreseeable future. I think one thing that one wrinkle is in this whole thing is that as we're going forward, I think you're going to see less and less cases finding that indeed there's impossibility or total frustration. Another really important issue is the emergence of legal tech and its impact on arbitration, international arbitration. Particularly thanks to the pandemic, so many hearings have gone virtual. If you went back 2 years, there was such it was such a difficult thing to do things online and to do things virtually and to try to celebrate hearings virtually. Today, it's become almost a daily occurrence. People are much less reluctant and much less difficulties doing that. I think, however, tech and you see there's plenty of activity. The ICC and CR have been coming out with guidelines that are very, very helpful to help arbitrators and parties deal with it. I'm a fan. I'm a fan of just about anything that makes the job easier. So e-discovery, dealing, virtual hearings. I think that these things have been super helpful. I'm a little wary, I have to be honest, on the over-reliance on technology. I don't want to see a day where the technology takes over. But I don't think we're in a space where we're going to be replaced by robot lawyers and whatnot. I love a lot of the work that's happening in the use of artificial intelligence and sifting through massive amounts of evidence. I mean, the cost savings, even in the environmental impacts, people not having to travel so much, the footprint. It's all very, very positive. However, I'm always wary to just jump on board anything because it's new. I think we all owe, we're dealing here with the administration of very complex cases. So where the technology is a tool, I love it. Where the technology takes over and humans become secondary in the equation, I'm not okay with that. So just let's watch that space carefully. One of the really biggest areas of activity right now, and something I watch very carefully and consider very carefully, better said, is the issue of ethics in international arbitration. Generally speaking, ethics in international dispute resolution is pretty much of a minefield. Ethics, when it comes to legal professionals, has always been a very domestic matter. So a New York lawyer bound by his own ethical code, a Spanish lawyer bound by his own ethical code. And the moment you start operating internationally, ethical codes, they don't always match, they don't always overlap. There's conflicts. What would be considered very ethical behavior in one jurisdiction might actually be considered completely unethical in another. And so there's a lot of work going on right now to try to create kind of international ethical codes to guide us all through this. But and that's wonderful, and it's high time that that's happening, and a lot more work needs to be done on it. I think, myself as a civil law lawyer and a common law lawyer, this is kind of an area that I've had to struggle with myself over the last 30 years, and I think pretty successfully. But it's wonderful to see the activity that's happening in it, and I think this is a very hot area in the practice right now. one of the hottest areas, one of the most exciting areas in international arbitration is investment arbitration, where private investors bring claims against the countries they're investing in, the host countries, under bilateral investment treaties or regional economic cooperation treaties, things like NAFTA. And this is a very exciting area, and really very much overlooked by small and medium-sized companies. These cases are usually very expensive, and they usually involve claims that monstrous size claims, and so there's this is an area to watch right now. Again, as smaller and more medium-sized companies start get into fights not only with their foreign partners but potentially with the host states, I think we're going to start seeing more investment arbitration, and that's something that I think will be very interesting, particularly from from an investor perspective. For me, if I had to choose, for my top five, I think the last one has haunted international arbitration. There are instances where parties have tried to use fake arbitrations or sham arbitrations to launder money, things like that. There are situations where the underlying cases are tainted with allegations of bribery, and this is something that arbitrators really struggle with, because generally questions of public order, criminality, are, as a general rule, are not going to be subject to arbitration. And so this is an area that there's some really interesting developments in. I think there's a lot of work being done multilaterally by the ICC, INCITRAL, organizations like that. But I think this is clearly really a super important area in the practice, and again something where we need to be focusing on a way forward to help arbitrators and parties deal with these types of cases, or these components or elements of cases.